Welcome to this special update from the RJI Futures Lab. I'm Jim Flink. This week, we bring you a recap of the 17th Annual Online News Association Conference, including insights from two ONA leaders and from futurist Amy Webb. This year's conference brought together more than 2,200 digital journalists from all over the world. There were many discussions that took place in Denver this year on topics including virtual reality, distributed content, interactive tools, audience engagement, analytics, and impact. But there were four key topics that dominated both the conference schedule and hallway conversations. Sophisticated computer automation is expected to expand how news is gathered, organized, and distributed.
The conversation around it is talking about what are the possibilities and where's the future. What is the relationship between individuals and humans and bots and algorithms, and how they come together and begin to hopefully work together to create a better experience for everyone.
These are force multipliers. These are ways to make yourself more important. It's not just technology for technology's sake. It's, there's great value in drones and VR and all that. But this is the use of bots and algorithms are really a way to enhance what you're already doing.
Headsets, immersive digital environments, and 360-degree video are no longer considered curiosities, but instead a standard option for journalism.
There's an element where it is new and shiny, and we want to be cautious, don't want to, but there's also an element where it is undeniably a storytelling tool. And I think almost everyone would agree at some point it is definitely a part of the media landscape, and we're trying to figure out when, right? When and how. How does a big newsroom deal with it? How does a small newsroom deal with it? What will be our relationship with Facebook and Oculus?
For the first time, representatives from Facebook were present at the conference. In the heavily attended opening keynote, they discussed instant articles and live and revealed plans to focus more on video and immersive tools like 360. Facebook's director of product, Fiji Simo, also revealed plans to experiment with pinning comments and adding mid-roll ads to live videos.
You can't talk about online journalism without talking about these giant platforms. Facebook is one of the 800-pound gorillas in the room when you're talking about digital journalism. And you have to have them be part of the conversation. They have a huge role to play in how you reach audiences and how they find content and how they converse with each other.
Facebook, with its launching of Live, it's an example where in just a year, right, this new feature has become really important to news organizations, and there's only going to be more video in Facebook. You can almost feel the sense of that's going to become television, the central place where video content is consumed. And so, for us, it's important to try and understand that. What does that mean? What is, having a Facebook page is almost like having a channel on the new cable.
Another key takeaway was the importance of experimentation in all its many forms.
The experimentation, the importance of trying, the willingness to fail at something, the strategy of doing small risks, seeing how they work, and making adjustments. The whole idea of VR kind of fits into that. VR is yet another brick in the wall that builds this journalism structure. And the way to approach it is to try it and to experiment with it and to learn from it.
A final piece of this year's conference has been an annual tradition for the past 9 years. Amy Webb's overview of emerging tech trends. We talked with her about some of the most important technological shifts on the horizon and where each might be 10 years from now.
The first trend is object recognition. So there's a lot of really interesting new research coming out of MIT, CSAIL, and some other universities where computers are sitting around like couch potatoes watching television, right? They're watching lots and lots and lots of videos. And some of what these algorithms are doing is helping computers understand and predict what's probably going to happen next. If a computer is able to contextualize what's happening in a scene, that means that machine learning has gotten to a point where we could dump a whole bunch of raw video into a system, have computers watch it for us, and then have them parcel out a ready-made video. Very soon, you'll be able to have a trove of video and photo content and even audio, and a computer will be able to put all of it together package it into a single video without any human intervention whatsoever. 10 years from now, it's not inconceivable that computers will automatically generate news videos for each individual one of us. So personalized, automatic news video is on the horizon. The second trend is crowd learning. There is data everywhere. We are shedding data. As a result of all of this, there is a way to learn from the crowd in a passive way. So Waze is a traffic application that those of us who drive, we use it to help us reroute around traffic. But as it turns out, most people don't realize this, there's a desktop version of it too. And if you look at the data that people are submitting, you can glean different information from it. If you start to map that out, scenario by scenario into the future, we have all these different sources, and a lot of that is anonymized and made back, available back to the public. So these are wonderful reporting tools that people don't realize are out there. I think that we are moving towards this place in time when all of this data that we're creating will be accessible to journalists, and this is a new area ripe for investigative journalism. So the third trend is mixed reality, and I'm very deliberate about using the term mixed reality versus virtual reality. VR is best suited for news that is best, experienced, but 99% of the news does not fall into that category. So my concern is that I see all of these news organizations, sort of steamrolling ahead in VR, and I don't see anybody going in the other direction of AR. When in reality, AR is probably the better bet for news organizations in the future, because there are a handful of AR headsets that are coming to market, including one called Magic Leap. Magic Leap is not entirely AR, it's not VR either. It's a totally different way of seeing the world. There are implications for news headlines. You can sort of think of pop-up video, if anybody saw pop-up video in the 90s, but for everyday life, where the pop-up is news. There is no Magic Leap SDK at the moment, so it's hard to start experimenting with it. So part of this is being ready to strike when it happens. The fourth trend is conversational computing. This is not bots per se. Even in the year 2016, from here on out, we can be expected to talk to our machines for the rest of our lives. And if you stop to think about what that implies for a moment, it means that our interfaces will necessarily have to change. So from strictly search to more of a question and answer. Some of these systems will act as virtual assistants, others will act as companions. So that is the sort of space where we're in. I think that news organizations need to, right now, start thinking about conversational interfaces. And they're fairly easy. And there's really no reason or excuse why a news organization shouldn't get started with them right away. The fifth one is augmented journalism. The challenge is that not everybody has the luxury of having that great editor anymore. It's just not realistic. But what happens if there was a computer system that acted as that editor? Watson has a series of APIs. One of them is called the News Explainer. So what it does is it looks for the connections between people and ideas and subjects rather than the subjects themselves to help you gain more context. They currently have in development a new tool called Debater. And Debater allows you to ask a question, and Debater will then, from a giant corpus of data, it'll give you all the pros and all the cons. So if you were working on a complicated story and you had the ability to load in, for example, all the news stories, all the opinion stories, the op-eds, maybe some white papers even, public opinion polls, and as a reporter, if you were able to have that same conversation, and this is not because the reporter is going to have a point of view, but it helps you understand everybody else's point of view so that you can write that more in-depth story.
Along with this video, you'll find links to additional coverage, including the slides from Amy Webb's presentation. And we'll bring you more insights from the conference in future updates. For the Futures Lab, this is Jim Flink.